Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome to Start Fresh. I'm Jennifer Wilson. If you don't know me, I am the owner of Simple Scrapper, and I'm so excited for this event tonight. If you do know me, then you know we like to do things a little bit differently. So tonight is both a workshop and a launch party. I love to combine a little bit of education and learning in with all of our fun, because that's what we do every single day inside of our membership. While we wait for folks to hop on, I would love if you found the chat box and shared either when you discovered Simple Scrapper or about what year you think that might be. Was it way back in 2008? Was it more recently? I would love to hear in the chat. As you've noticed, I have disabled the video and audio for you guys tonight, just because of a larger number of participants, and in the interest of time, I do want to keep this, nice and tidy to an hour. And while I love having all of our conversations, particularly at the Your Way workshops and in our crafts where we're going back and forth, tonight is going to be me here with my screen, and I'll be reading your comments from the chat and bringing those things up as we go throughout the hour. All right, Pamela says she's been listening to the podcast since we started. Tina in 2015. Tracy joined us last year during the planning party. Sherry joined a month ago. Let's see, Laura Kaplan says, I think it was 2009. I bet it was back then. Beth says many years ago. Lorianne says, last November when I was looking for ways to resurrect my moribund scrapbooking hobby. Yes, yes. Years ago, discovered via the podcast, almost exactly a year ago. Awesome, so cool. Might be 2018, back when I did a class at Big Picture Classes. Yes, I taught the art and science of scrapbooking with Stacy, and then I also taught Before Your Story there. I think I taught both of those twice, so it was so fun back in the day. Honore since the very, very beginning, 100%. Misty says, not a member yet. Why should I become one? I will let our members answer that in the comments here. B joined in November at the planning party. Oh gosh, April says back when we did lives on Twitter. Oh my gosh, back in these scrap chat days, we had lots of Twitter chats talking about scrapbooking every month, every week. I think it was every week. What a blast from the past that was. Alrighty here, fantastic. I am so grateful you all are here tonight with me. I do have a nice and tidy small slide deck for you just to help guide us through the conversation. And as I mentioned, this is both workshop and launch party. Here is the agenda for tonight. So first, we're in phase one. I'm going to share just a little bit about our history and background. And I have a fun little icebreaker conversation connecting our most recent podcast episode, if you listen to that one, and this idea of starting fresh. And then we're going to dive in to the focus finder. I did email that out to everyone, but if you didn't have a chance to see that yet, I'm going to include a link here in the chat, and I'll do that again later as well. This is our tried and true tool updated for 2022. The Focus Finder first came out, I think I calculated that it was 2015, and this is the third time we've updated it. And I'm just so proud of this particular version. So we'll be walking through that step by step tonight. And then of course we have our brand update. This is the biggest design overhaul that we've had in the lifetime of Simple Scrapper. To date, I've done everything myself. And so this was the first chance that I was able to bring in experts to really make everything nice and polished. And I'm just so proud of the work that we've all done together. And it's all possible because of this large team. And at the end, you'll see I have a number of credits to share. And then the fun part at the end, we're going to have a launch special on a membership for the next week. So if you're not yet a member, or maybe you're a monthly member and you want to convert to annual, we do have some deals there just to give you a little extra incentive. We do have some new merch coming, and I will share some sneak peeks and a date for that. And of course, we have our prize drawings. We're going to have 2 winners that must be in attendance and 1 from our full list. And so I have everyone all populated into a wheel of names that we can spin, and we get to have that anticipation of whose name is going to pop up. All righty. Any questions before we jump in? We've got lots of more dates here. 2016, discovered from big picture classes. Cindy says, so long ago, I can't remember. Yes, there is merch. It's coming soon. I will share all the details when we get to that part. And so, yes, I just want to thank you all tonight. I'm just so grateful that we get to do this together. I've been sitting here for 70 minutes ready to go. And I'm bursting with excitement and a little bit nervous and just so proud of getting to this point. And so this point is this, and this headshot of me in the top left is not even way back in 2008. This is 2013, I believe, but this was the first time I actually put my face on the website. I went a whole 5 years just being an anonymous person online, I guess, because I could not find that I had any headshots earlier than that. So you can see here the evolution of our logo over time. I also just posted a reel to Instagram. It's also on YouTube if you're not on Instagram, that walks through every single logo to our brand new logo today. And it's just such an amazing experience to see how something that I started as a blog to document my own journey in modern memory keeping. I wanted to find a way to have this hobby fill me up and fit my life, though I didn't know those terms to describe it at that point. And back then, I really thought that digital scrapbooking was going to be the way of the future, the way that people were going to do scrapbooking. And yes, that is certainly true, but it's just one of the ways. And that's part of how this Scrapbook Your Way concept came about. It's the name of our podcast, the name of our workshops, because you have this opportunity today to pick and choose from this buffet of options. And sometimes we choose multiple options depending on what we want to scrapbook, what story we want to tell, what vacation we want to corral all those photos for. And so that's what we do day in and day out, is help make those decisions and choose from the buffet so that your hobby is fun and fulfilling and that you finish more of the projects that you start. So yeah, this evolution has been so interesting. We became a business actually very quickly, and the membership launched in 2011. At the very beginning of the year, I sold a number of classes for a few years standalone, but then we eventually evolved to what we do is a membership. So we have some fun free things like the podcast and our workshops and our planning party that we host every November. But the membership is the heart of what we do and what makes us a business. And I'm so proud of not just the resources and the vast content library. We have more than 600 sketches and templates, an amazing staff that helps keep everything together and puts together our magazine, but it's really the community and the support that makes the difference. And that was a huge influence on the vision and the design decisions for the brand update. And I'll explain more as we go through that. So what started was, I was just sharing, like, here's how you be a digital scrapbooker, has evolved into how do you be confident? How do you create consistently? How do you have an amazing, nourishing experience as a memory keeper that satisfies your legacy cravings to get these, to do something with these photos, and at the same time hits that sweet spot of creative fulfillment for you? Because sometimes it's going to be a lot of artsy things, and sometimes it's going to be super minimal. And we get to choose from those at all times. Oh, I love the chat here. They're talking about way back in the day. Carrie says her first Stash Bash. So Stash Bash is our organization event that we host at least once a year. This year, we're actually doing 6 Stash Bash Saturdays as part of our refresh retreats. And we've hosted it all kinds of ways, but it's an opportunity to use, declutter, and organize your supplies. All right, so there's the flash to the past. And now I want to take a moment as we go into the Focus Finder tool to really ask you this important question. Where do you want to start fresh in scrapbooking? So yes, this is about celebrating our fresh start and where all the places that we've come and how we've taken that knowledge of our experience and said, okay, if I can have a blank slate, what would I do? And that's how I worked with the designer and made this whole plan to do this brand update. But this is what we get to do as scrapbookers, whether you do it every 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, every year, you have an opportunity to say, okay, I am starting from this point. I'm going to take all my knowledge and go forward from here. And you get to pivot, you get to make choices, you get to embrace the things that are working and let go of the things that aren't. So I'm curious, where do you want to start fresh in scrapbooking? So I know April says she needs to use her membership better. I know there's so much, but I'm not taking advantage of it. My best recommendation there is to choose one open crop time a week. We have them during the daytime and evening hours, which might be flipped depending on where you live. But if you pick just 1 hour a week to commit, that will help you stay more engaged with the membership. Let's see, Cindy wants to start fresh with all her paper. She wants to chuck the old and start new. If you are someone like me that has subscribed to kit clubs in the past, you may have amassed a lot of paper that you didn't necessarily pick out yourself. It was just delivered to you, and maybe you liked some of it and maybe you don't like a lot of it. So if you're really starting to feel like your paper stash is stale, it could be time to donate a big chunk of that. Margaret wants to start fresh and having the discipline to make scrapbooking a priority. That same 1 hour a week advice, if you can just pick one time, whether you're inside of our community or not, 1 hour a week to say, this is my scrapbooking date with myself, that will make a huge difference in helping you stay on track with your hobby. All righty. Keita wants to move from chronological scrapbooking to story-focused scrapbooking. That is super fun. And one of the coolest things about that is when you start allowing what's going on in your life currently or stories that you want to connect past and present, you can still store those in chronological albums if that's what you prefer, or you could store them in another system. But when you have that freedom to tell the story that's interesting to you, you're more likely to stay motivated and stay creating consistently. Monica wants to simplify her process. That is so much what we do, helping you think through, how is my process working? Where is it not working? And how can I streamline this so I'm spending more time on the parts that are really fun and less time on the parts that are not so fun? iPhone number 2 wants to focus on projects instead of supplies. That's a great way to focus on it, to think about what is the end result and making sure that you're organizing your time and your purchasing to support those end results and not just kind of grabbing everything because it's all pretty, because it's all pretty, right? Lorian wants to keep going. She's in danger of getting bogged down with too many things. I want to refocus on the stuff that makes her, she wants to refocus on the stuff that makes her happy. That is exactly what the Focus Finder's for. And we're going to jump to that in just a minute. Ooh, April is trying to start over with her craft room and her scrap rack and just get a hold of all of that situation. I know, because I am rebuilding my craft closet right now. It's hard to do those bigger projects and to maintain the energy. And so I would pick, what are the baby steps? Break that project down into small steps and say, okay, here's the next action I need to take, and just start checking it off one by one. Joe also wants to start fresh with committing time. Diana wants to start fresh with doing a summary layout to help her feel more caught up. That's one of my favorite solutions, is thinking about ways that help you feel more caught up with, whether it's a week, a month, a season of the year, even a whole year, without kind of going whole hog to the full extent. Like, what is a smaller thing that I can do that makes me as satisfied to get this story told? And then you can have more freedom to follow your creative intuitions, to take a class, to tell a story that connects, 20 years ago with today. And when you can combine those two, you feel more balanced and more productive. Grady says, with a brand new baby, I want to just focus on getting things taken down, capturing that time. And she's usually more of a person who works on creating every day. So this is different for her. Yes, the whole season of life issue. We all have to respect that our lives ebb and flow. We go through different seasons where we're busier, we have less time, we have more time, we have more responsibilities, we have fewer responsibilities. And our hobbies are going to need to realign with that. It doesn't mean you need to give anything up. It just means you need to adjust your expectations and try to figure out, how can I fit this in a way that continues to meet my needs? And sometimes that is focusing on the memory making and the documentation, taking photos, writing notes down in a calendar or a journal, and knowing that there will be time, there will be a new season of life later to document it with scrapbook pages. All righty. So many great, awesome responses here. Etienne wants to finish more and says, you're already helping me greatly with this. That's something where if you have a habit of starting new projects, because starting new projects is fun, how can you train yourself to follow through? What kind of tricks do you need to use? What kind of accountability supports? And then also, how do you need to adjust the scope of the project, the format of the project to make it more finishable? So there's two parts to that. Okay, oh my gosh, so many great comments here. So I can see there's lots of brain action going, lots of things that everyone wants to start fresh. And it's fun to embrace this idea of, I get to begin again. I get to press that reset button. And a couple of weeks ago, when I first announced this Start Fresh Again, I did a mini podcast episode where I talked all about how we're in this weird time in the world. And I heard Dr. Fauci say yesterday that he doesn't consider that we're in a pandemic anymore. So we're in this transition place. And I think that's brought so many of us to question, okay, now what? What's next for all of us? And so I consider this your permission to have a brand new year for 2022, to consider today New Year's Eve, and tomorrow is your new January 1, where you get to start fresh with a new perspective and a new plan. And you can do that with the Focus Finder. All righty here. So I'm going to pop the link in the chat box for anyone who doesn't have it yet. Let's see here, everyone. Okay, so this is our brand new Focus Finder tool. So excited about this. It is downloadable and printable if you want to write in it. It also can be used on an iPad or other type of tablet you can mark on top of it. It also has fields for both using on the iPad and on the computer if you prefer to type in everything. Just remember that you need to download it first in order for those fields to save. If it opens in a browser tab, you can't just start typing and then save it. But yes, so Focus Finder, this is really a tool to help you find your top 3. What are your real priorities? And every time that I teach this activity and every time I do this activity myself, there are surprises, because when we look a little bit more objectively and also bring in our feelings to the situation, the answers change. Sometimes we have like the nagging feeling that's telling us I should do these things, but then maybe our heart is pulling us in a different direction, or our creative intuition is pulling us in a different direction. And so this tool helps you figure out, what is the real priority? What is it that you should be working on? And so first, we're going to consider kind of what you value right now in this season of life, and then I'll have you inventory your plans and ideas. So what I'm going to do is I want to encourage you, if you're kind of a faster worker, you can work through it with me tonight. I'm going to go through each step and I'll have shorter pauses This is being recorded, so if you don't have a chance to get all the way through it, no big deal. You can do so later with the recording or just on your own. The instructions inside should be pretty clear in terms of each step we need to take, but I will be walking through it for you here. All right, so on the first page, 2 questions for you. What are you craving more of in this season of your life? And what are you desiring less of? And so it starts by thinking about, what does life look like right now? What are my responsibilities? How am I feeling about the whole plate? Not just my scrapbooking plate, but everything that I have responsibility for, that I'm choosing to do, that I'm required to do. What do you want to feel more of? Do you want more creative fun time? Do you want more, tactical, logistical? I want more time to organize things and manage my photos and really feel like I've got things under control. Are you craving more socialization, connection with others? And then on the flip side, what do you want less of? Say you want less organizing, or you want less time online, or you want less time organizing the supplies you want to actually spend time making. So just think of it very loosely in terms of your whole life. What are you craving more of, and what are you desiring less of? This is really important context for thinking about your projects, because it will help us eliminate some right off the bat if they're not fitting your life right now. And as I mentioned earlier, things are going to change over time. This summer, later this year, next year, you might feel totally different. You might have different desires. We all, not just our scrapbooking ebbs and flows, but our energy, our commitments, they all shift throughout the year and over the years. All righty. Okay, now we're going to capture our ideas. And so here's where I'll give you just a minute of time to think about this. And this is where, if you're familiar with the Focus Finder tool, we've departed a little bit. Originally, I asked you to brainstorm all the projects that you haven't finished, want to finish, want to start, and everything that is in terms of a scrapbooking project, a particular album, a vacation photo book, a project life book, a mini book, like a specific series of layouts from a span of years. That I encourage you to think solely about what you are making. But the thing is, so much of our scrapbooking hobby requires us to do the other things. And sometimes those become our primary focus and we don't get to do the making. And sometimes we do all making and we don't get to those other things. So we're looking for a greater amount of balance here. So I'm asking you to think about what you'd like to create in the next 3 months. So what do you want to make? What stories do you want to tell? What do you want to corral? What do you want to organize? What do you want to gather, to declutter, to manage? How do you want to connect? What do you want to participate in? Do you want to attend crops online? Do you want to attend crops in person? Do you want to participate in chat rooms or forums? How do you want to engage with others to support your hobby? And what do you want to consume? So this can go 2 directions. One, what do you want to learn? Do you want to finish a class, watch some videos, actually take, read, books and workbooks and things that you've downloaded? Do you want to engage with something in that manner? Or another way to think of consumption is also tackling a specific type of supply. Like I want to use up my Brads, or I want to try to go through my older digital kits, or I want to actually stamp on my layout. So sometimes consumption can be specific challenges for yourself that connect to your making, but they aren't necessarily the way we think about making. We tend to think about making in terms of albums and layouts and the things that we want to scrapbook. All righty here. So let's pause just a moment while you document these. And this is a brain dump. There's no decisions here. There's no judgment. It's just what comes to mind. And often what comes to mind first is going to be important here. It's the things we come up with later, like, oh yeah, I thought I wanted to do that thing. They're usually not as important as we think they are. Okay. For those maybe who have just joined us, I want to go ahead and pop the link here for the focus finder in the chat again before we move on. I want to make sure everyone's on the same page. It was also included in your reminder email if you got that today. Alrighty, let's continue. So this is where you either totally get it or you need a little extra help. This is a tried and true part of the focus finder. This is where we're going to ask you to think about each of your things with 2 parameters. Okay. And so before we get there, there's actually a couple steps. And so I'm just going to kind of read through these and explain why we go through this process. And this is the part you may not have as much time for. So first, looking at your previous page, I want you to mark out any ideas that don't support what you're craving more of. So if you are craving more, let's say, more relaxing, fun, creative time, and you have a project for scanning your entire library of slides from your childhood, those might not align. Now you might have other priorities that will put that back on there. But if you are really craving fun, relaxing, creative time, scanning might not be the project for right this moment. And then I want you to mark out any ideas that do not support what you're desiring less of. So let's say that you're desiring less time organizing your supplies because you tend to constantly be trying to reset and get your space tidy so that you can create, and you have trouble getting to creating. So that might mean that big organization project that you want to do might not make the list this time. All right. And then mark out any ideas that are not realistic for the time you have available. So if this is a particularly busy season of life, here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're going into late spring and summer. It tends to be busier with more vacations, more outdoor activities. And so sometimes you have less time in the months ahead. However, if you're a teacher, which I know we have some teachers on here tonight, or you otherwise work in the schools, then sometimes summer is your time. It is when you get most of your scrapbooking done and when you have the most opportunities for time freedom. So I want you to bring in that element of time, marking out anything on your previous page that didn't align with the time that you have now. All right. So hopefully you've at least eliminated one or more things from your initial brainstorm. Now we're going to list them all on this page. So there's 12 boxes here. If you have more than that, you're going to have to kind of make some initial rough picks, but hopefully you don't. And you're not putting them in any order. You're just listing out what are the ideas. So they're the ideas from all 4 boxes: create, corral, connect, and consume, and put them on these lines. And then here's the calculation part. So there's 2 columns here, I and E. I stands for important and E stands for excited. So we like to call this the I times E calculation, or the priority point calculation. So your importance for this particular idea, whether it's a project or a task, is how good will you feel if this gets done? What is the legacy value? How important is it to you that you finish this? It's often independent of how fun it is. It just means that you want to do this, or you need to do this, or it feels meaningful for you to do this thing or complete this project. And you're going to rank this on a scale of 1 to 4, with 1 being the least important and 4 being the most important. And then we'll do the same thing for excited. So this is the kind of the fun, the creative part, like you're raring to go, you want to play with this particular format, you want to use these supplies, you love these photos, you love these memories, you feel jazzed up about it. And so you're going to give it a ranking there as well, on a scale of 1 being least excited and 4 being most excited. And the magic's going to happen here on the next page. So you have your 12 ideas, and then a ranking, an I ranking and an E ranking for each of those. Alrighty. here. And now we reveal the priority points. So I'm asking you to rewrite the ideas here because writing is thinking. The more that you rewrite these ideas, the more you're going to really think about what this means to you. And it might even cause you to go back and change some of your numbers as you really think about, do I really want to do this? How important is it to me? How excited am I? You need to be honest with yourself, because if things aren't getting done, it's usually because they have a low I or a low E or both. And so this is where we come up with your real priorities. And sometimes it's really surprising. You're going to take your I column and your E column, and you're going to multiply those together. Don't add them, won't work. You have to multiply. So it can result from 1 to 16. I see a typo here. I said between 0 and 16, so I will fix that. But the maximum you can get is 16. You probably only have 1, 2, or 3 16s. You probably have some 12s in there. The 12s and the 16, those are going to be your biggest priorities. If you don't have any 12s or 16s, that's something to think about. If you have projects that stay in a low number, like a 1 to a 4 for a long time, that might be something that eventually needs to come off your list. You need to ask yourself, do I really want to do this, or do I need to change how I want to do this in order to change my excitement or the importance of it? So I'm curious here, for those who maybe were able to go through already, are there any surprises that you had in going through your priority points? Lorian says, my kryptonite are the things that started out high E and then ended up low E. Yes, that is such a problem, because this is an exercise that you can do again and again. If you just bought all the things. So for example, I've got these really fun giant 5-inch hearts for Ellie Edwards' Week in the Life. And when I bought them, I was like, oh, I'm so excited. And now that they're here, I'm like, oh, those are really big. And I'm not totally sure what I want to do with them anymore. So our excitement for a project could change over time. It could go down, it could also go up. So the more that you use this tool, the more you'll want to use this tool to continue informing your hobby. And April says here, it's okay to decide to let go of projects, even if you already started. Yes, anything that you've done is more than enough. And so we can always find a way to reassemble things together, start over from scratch. I had some pages done for a couple December daily albums, and I decided to do 3 years and 1 4x6 album. And so I let go of some of the pages that I already made because I was redoing the album in a much simpler format so that I could actually get it finished. All right, Laura says, my organizing tasks are all low excitement, so they're not a priority. I need to find a way to get excited about them because they are important. Yes, 100%. This is where challenges come into play, accountability. How can you make it more of a fun game? How can you reward yourself for getting it done? Oftentimes using a timer, anything you can do to just jazz it up a bit and turn it into something that either involves other people or a challenge to yourself can really help with that, particularly for those high importance, low excitement projects. Watching TV while you do a lot of these things definitely is one as well. I know folks who manage photos while they're watching their TV with their family. They sit with their laptop or their iPad and just kind of fly through things, deleting things so that that kind of less fun task is done for the future. All righty. And then we have the final step here. So we can't just say, what are your top 3 priorities and then move on and then we forget them. We need to actually start taking the next step. So if we have our 3 priorities, what are the topmost things? And you may have to pick, what is then the next action? What is the first action? So let's say that I want to put the layouts that I have in a pile in albums. What would be the first action? It would be take the layouts out, put them on a space like a bed or something where I can spread them out and figure out which albums are going to go in, which layouts maybe need something finished or fixed on it. I need to know what is my very next action, because if I have this big project in my mind of, oh, I need to deal with that big pile of layouts, that's a lot harder to get to than I need to walk the layouts to the guest bed so that I can look at them. That is a much more doable task. So that's why we have this page, so that you can really be thinking about what is that very next action that you need to take. And then you can even print this again and write your other actions. Or this is when you can jump into Trello or a Post-it note system or whatever works for you to know, okay, what do I need to do next to move this priority forward? When we think more narrow, we're more likely to get the things done. Alrighty here. So I know that was fast. I do want to respect your time here and make sure we can get through everything. I will be teaching this again throughout the year. This is on the front of the website as the main thing that everyone can download. And so, as I said, also, you'll be able to watch this video to step back through if you do need help with the Focus Finder. But I can't wait to hear even more what surprises you see or what comes up for you as you do this activity. I know that one of our members, Terry, did this the other day. She was a beta tester for me, and she realized that doing her one little word project was not actually a priority for her anymore. It was the beginning of the year. She thought she was really excited about it, but it turns out she's experiencing, expressing, and living her word in other ways and bringing it into her scrapbooking in other formats, that she doesn't feel excited about doing a one little word project per se. And so that's the real value here in the Focus Finder, is giving you that opportunity to start fresh and say, okay, this is what I value right now. This is what's important to me. This is what's going to fill me up and fit my life. And those are the things that you work on as a scrapbooker. Okie dokie. Let's jump in to the party part of this. So this is a long time in the making. It all kind of started last November after our planning party. I was really thinking about my plans for Simple Scrapper and what I wanted for the business. We'd had a huge member growth during the planning party, and I wanted to make sure that I could bring our best to the table to continue to delight our members and delight our broader audience of podcast listeners as well. And it just seemed long overdue to bring in a designer to really take us to the next level, to the next place that really, so that the design embodied our values, just as we're talking about planning our projects, our scrapbook activities, so they embody who we are right now in this season of life. It was time for Simple Scrapper to reflect who we are as a community in this season. And so we got started at the beginning of the year, and I hired this amazing designer named Brianna. She's with Esley Studio, and I will have her link at the very end of the video as well. And I've also tagged her on social media. She was simply delightful to work with, so professional, and really helped bring my vision to life. So I started with a Pinterest vision board and provided all of this input on what I was looking for. I wanted 100% top priority is to convey a sense of trust and loyalty, that I want you to have trust in me and in us as a company, and also to reflect this value of loyalty to each other and this promise that we give to each other in supporting one another in scrapbooking. And so continuing blue as our dominant color was really important to me because of that. And I wanted this to kind of still look like us. It's like when you have a makeover, when you have, any kind of change in your own life, you want to still look like you. You just want to look like a better version of you. And that was my huge goal for this rebrand. The big phrase that I brought to the table was cozy minimal. I wanted it to feel comforting, homey, but also not too overdone, not too embellished, to really reflect simple as a value for us and how we view simple in all the things that we do. These two, one is hygge is a Danish word and lagom is a Swedish word. Hygge means kind of comfort, coziness. This tends to be in the fall and winter times. And lagom means just right, or just enough, or not too much, not too little. And so bringing these Scandinavian aesthetics and concepts to the table was important to me. You can see that in the design as well. Many of you know that I had a chance to go to Sweden to research some of my ancestry at the very beginning of the pandemic. And that's just such an important part of my history, and also the way that I feel connected to the brand, I guess. And then also, of course, I wanted to have some sort of nature element, because so much of what we do, we often encourage you to go out on photo walks. We bring this retreat-like atmosphere, and elements of nature have been part of our visuals and our expression of what we do here since the very, very beginning. It's been really important to me in terms of how we set ourselves apart as being a more holistic brand for scrapbookers, not just, it's very rare that we tell you to do this or do this. We're encouraging you to think, to experiment, to learn about yourself and the world, and how scrapbooking fits into your life as part of this bigger picture of your self-care, and how you want to live and make memories and keep your memories. So this was the vision. And then we went through lots of iterations together. It was such a fun process, and we finalized this particular logo. And I wanted to make sure we took some time to talk about the little parts here, because Brianna did such an amazing job at really getting the brand, understanding our history, and what I wanted to communicate in terms of where we've been, where we are now, and where we are going. And sharing this inside of our member community this past week, seeing the connections to the symbolism that our members already made, really just enforced that we've made some right decisions here. So this tall pine tree represents kinship between us and with our surroundings. It represents wisdom, especially the height of the tree, and our longevity here as a company. We've been around for 14 years now. Continued growth, and of course, our strength, our external and our inner strength. The heart, love, warmth, hopefulness for the future, and also the heart's location in proximity to nature really brings out that hopefulness, that looking outside to the peacefulness and the hopefulness of possibilities. The home, of course, community, safety, that was the core. You'll see on social media that the big message that I have for everyone is welcome home. Simple Scrapper is your online home. We encourage you to take classes, buy products elsewhere, because this industry, we won't exist without the rest of the industry. We want to be the place you come together to get things done, to figure out which things you're going to do, and to enjoy the process with like-minded memory keepers. And so when I shared this with some of my friends, they were like, it looks like a place. And I'm like, yes, 100%. That's exactly what I wanted to convey, is that Simple Scrapper is a place. It's a place that you can go mentally and virtually to reflect, to reconnect, to refresh, and start fresh. And then, of course, we have this foundation here of support, continuity, and trust. We're always looking for the future, but we're also really trying to find our own sense of stability and groundedness at all times, groundedness in the hobby and in our lives. All righty. So I see lots of, Diana says it's the perfect symbolic representation. I can't imagine it being anything else now that I've seen it. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Carol says, I'm so glad you don't generally sell anything. It's peaceful here and cozy in my online home without the anxiety and upheaval of buying everything. That is correct. Pretty much all we sell is the membership. You're either a member or you're not. And if you're not a member, that's okay. We'd love to have you inside. And in a moment here, I will give you an opportunity to do that. I also wanted to share this particular image because, so this is one of our brand marks. There's a couple different variations of the logo that you'll see in different places. But when I was trying to find a photo to just be like a placeholder as I was getting started with the website redesign, I just typed in like Sweden Lake. And this was the first photo that came up. And my mind was just totally blown because this photo, it's like it matched the logo perfectly. And this wasn't one of the inspiration photos that I shared with the designer. So it just felt like such a serendipity moment to grab this photo. And I've included on the Our Story page on the website. And yeah, it captures that cozy minimal aesthetic of Scandinavian culture, the nature aspect, and it just kind of solidified everything for me and made it all feel like, okay, we're on the right track and this is all coming together. And so here is the front page of the brand new website. It did go live just before this event tonight. And if you're watching the recording, I hope you go check it out. If you see anything weird, let me know, but hopefully by now there's very little weirdness left. I am so proud of everything we've done here to create a cozy, welcoming place for you to learn more about what we do and to experience our new podcast episodes and blog posts. So it's, yeah, such a labor of love. And I'm so glad to finally bring this to the world and to celebrate here with all of you. Kate just says, can we have a crop at the Sweden Lake? I hope so. That would be amazing. All right, so our membership, and you can see this on the new membership page, we're really about real community, not like pretend community. One of our comments we get so often is that, oh my gosh, your community is so active. We're not one of those forums that's kind of dead and somebody posts something every couple days. No, there are things happening every day, all the time, all day long. And it makes it so amazing to have options, to have different conversations, to get feedback on the questions you have and the things that you make. And then of course, together with that, we have the accountability piece where we're always supporting our members, nudging them forward to make sure that they can have the experience they want and get the projects done that are important to them. So we do this with our creative journeys. We divide the year into 6 2-month periods. We found that 2 months is just long enough to get more done, to feel like we can get entrenched, to get embedded, to get immersed, as a word we like to use, without getting bored or getting stale, and still have an opportunity to cover a bunch of topics throughout the year. So storytelling is our May and June journey. This is kind of an overarching theme that will guide some of our conversations, some of our encouragements, but really the journeys are just kind of a little container to help give you options. And you're always invited to say, I'm going to pick and choose these things, but then I'm going to go my own way in these other areas, because this is all about you. This is all about scrapbooking your way. And you will find tons of permission to opt out, to do a little or do a lot. There's always a lot of options to customize your experience to what you need right now in scrapbooking. On our calendar, we have more than 30 hours of open crop time scheduled each week, hosted by our member volunteers. It's an amazing opportunity to jump on here in Zoom, except with everyone has video and audio options, to either have a lively conversation. Some of them are very lively and chatty, and some of them are totally quiet and mellow. We tend to be very introvert friendly. We have more quieter crops than we do bustling crops. It also depends on the time of day. Friday night, for example, tends to be kind of chatty, as well as sometimes Saturday morning. And so it just depends on who's there. So if you pick a time and it's not quite your vibe, then pick another time and see what's happening then. Also, you're always invited to just kind of start the conversation, even if some of us tend to be a little more quiet, which includes me sometimes as well. Doesn't mean we're not always ready to chat about scrapbooking if somebody brings up a topic. Even us introverts know that we can't chat about small talk. We can't do the weather, the price of gas, or anything weird and awkward like that. We can talk about scrapbooking until the cats come home. And as I mentioned, our community is so active, so friendly, supportive, always encouraging one another, cheering each other on, and making sure that you're staying in it. If you disappear for a while, we'll probably check up on you and let you know, like, hey, are you doing, we're worried about you. Are you okay? It's definitely a very familial environment. I think Natalie Schmidt's on here as well. She calls us the Simple Scrapper siblings. She's always talking. And so we definitely have a very close-knit community that's constantly growing and very welcoming to newcomers. So I just wanted to mention a couple of testimonials here, things that our members have said in the past few months. So this one is from Natalie Strand, who is actually here tonight. She says, because of the encouragement and accountability of this group, in the span of 8 months, I've been able to start and finish both my own and my husband's childhood memoir albums using a class framework that we teach, finish a multi-volume photo a day baby book for her son after she had not finished it for many years, and finish a vacation mini book that had also been unfinished for years. And all of this was in addition to being on fire with inspiration to scrapbook individual layouts at a rate higher than it's been in years. So this is just a common theme. And I just love this phrase, on fire with inspiration. So Natalie's definitely been a huge rock star in our community. And it's just one example of members who are really making progress and feeling engaged because of their membership. Lori posted this one just recently. I completed my last mini project lifestyle album for December 2021. She purged and reorganized all of her December daily supplies and some cardstock she won't use. She reorganized her albums, her binders and cardstocks, and purchased a new bookcase and containers. And she feels so much more centered and free of the clutter that was in her head and the physical clutter on her desk. So we just completed our organizing journey. We have lots of resources and challenges, particularly on helping you get organized, and tons of support. Our members are always willing to look at your closet or your bookshelf and make suggestions for you. And Lori definitely had some great progress during this particular journey. And then 2 more members here, Melissa and Carol. They had incredibly productive years last year, finishing giant albums, creating, dozens, if not hundreds of pages. I think Melissa did well more than 100. And just this type of joyful productivity is what we see inside the membership week after week. There's always celebrations like this. And so for those who are not yet members and are interested in joining, we have a special just for the next week through May 5th. You can try 2 months for $24.99, and then it will recur at the regular rate of $24.99. That gives you a whole month free. Or if you're ready to make a commitment, either you're not yet a member and you're ready to commit, or you are already a month-to-month member and want to convert to an annual membership, you can get the 14 months for $199. And that gets you a total of 6 months free based on that month-to-month price. These are recurring subscriptions. I'm legally required to tell you that, but you can cancel at any time. And also we have a 7-day refund policy. If you jump in, you go through our member orientation and it's just not a good fit for you, you can ask for your money back. No big deal, no questions asked. We never harass you about it. We'll ask you one question of, why wasn't it a good fit? But we'll definitely let you go. But we know that we have a very below industry average cancellation rate, and especially a very low below industry average refund rate. We process almost no refunds because everyone loves it and they stay. On average, our members stay, I think it's like 2.67 years or something. So once they join, they want to stick around for a while. So these new prices for the next week are available on the website, simplescrapper.com/membership, where you can learn more about what's included. If you do have any questions, definitely reach out. There's a help button at the very bottom of the screen on the website. And so I hope to see some of you in the membership who are not yet in there with us. Okay, here. Now, one of my most fun parts. So sometimes if you've ever been on a crop with us or a Your Way workshop, you've seen there's been a couple t-shirts floating around. We've had 2 different merch releases in the past. One of them was a little bit more limited with the baseball style shirts. And then we also did have some I Love Books and Crafts, or All I Need Is Books and Crafts shirts a couple years ago. And then we had the whole pandemic. And so this coming Friday, May 6th, in advance of National Scrapbook Day weekend, we are going to open our merch shop again. These are the options that I'm hoping to provide. Unfortunately, because of all these supply chain issues, some of the sizes are not available right now. And it's really important to me to really have a size inclusive offering. So we're going to make some final decisions mid next week on exactly what we're offering, but it should look something like this. I'm particularly excited about this. I don't know if you can see my mouse here, the blue shirt. This is the comfort color style. And it looks kind of just like roomy, boxy, not so long. Like I hate t-shirts that are like really long. And so I'm particularly excited about this one. And it's the most kind of perfect colors with the new brand colors as well. So I will send links out to everyone when this time comes. We're also planning some fun National Scrapbook Day challenges that count as bonus entries for our regular member challenge. So every 2 months, we give away 3 $25 gift certificates to the scrapbook store of your choice, which can include Amazon. And these will be, you have additional bonus entries to enter that challenge during International Scrapbook Day weekend. So more to come on all the merch, but definitely want to let you wear our logo. And I'm so excited to do so myself. Because of those size issues, I wasn't able to order shirts in advance, but I can't wait to don some simple scrapper gear with all of you. Alrighty, so here's some of the credits that I wanted to mention. Brianna of Esley Studio, amazing. Etienne Rickles is one of our creative team members, and she took all the photos on her website. So beautiful, so amazing. I'm so proud to finally represent scrapbooking on our website. It was one of the challenges that I had for a long time. Christina from Lovely Confetti, I did purchase my theme from her, and she was very helpful with support and customizing it. You know, I've always done all my own web design since 1996. And so this was a big stretch to like bring in others into the process, but it's fun and rewarding. And I'm so glad to release some of my own control and perfectionism. You guys know my word this year is release, in order to up level everything for all of you. And then, of course, I have to, of course, thank our Simple Scrapper leadership team, our creative team, and all of our members, but especially the volunteers who dedicate their time to facilitate things in the community, to run Open Crop Time, and really make the membership as active and lively as it is. So yeah, it's getting to this point has been a labor of love, but it's certainly not just me, and I never want to give that impression that it is just me. I just happen to be your CEO and creative director. And with that, it is time for some prizes. So I'm giving away a logo shirt to one present winner. I'm giving away a 3-month membership to another present winner. And then one more winner gets a shirt and a 6-month membership, and that will be drawn from anyone who RSVP'd for tonight, whether or not you were present or not. Ooh, I'm seeing lots of comments here about the merch, baseball caps, stickers. I will explore the options. One thing that we are trying to do is get aprons made, and not any kind of like less anything. I will not accept anything less than stellar in terms of an apron. I want it to be fit with our overall design aesthetic and our quality value. And we have some sources in mind, and so that's kind of a longer term project. And I'm seeing so much excitement about stickers, so I guess I'm going to have to look for stickers to put on your water bottle to go with my stickers. So we will work on that as well. All right, let's do the prize drawing here. I need to swap out my screen here and bring this other one over. Okay, so I need to see the chat. So if we draw your name, am I going to have to bring up my, let's see here. Okay. All righty. I will, once the person is drawn, I will verify kind of their part of their email address. I didn't want to display full email addresses, but that's why everyone has a contact ID on here too. So again, first drawing is for a t-shirt of your choice. Once we get all that finalized, I will ask you to submit your order, and I will pay for it for you and have it sent to you. And this winner must be present. So if you see your name come up, definitely say here, 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 and I will mark you down and get you taken care of. But let's spin. And what button do I press? Spin over. There we go. Marsha Kosanki, are you here, Marsha? Is Marsha here tonight? Look at the participants. Marsha. I'm not seeing Marsha here in the participants, so we're going to draw again. I am leaving Marsha in there, so she might win the other one. Wendy, 3777. This is WGMEDLIN. Wendy Medlin, maybe? Are you here, Wendy? Oh, that's okay. Yes, Wendy K. Perfect. Okay. All righty. Awesome. So we'll remove you from the list here and then we will draw again. So Wendy got the shirt and we will go next to the 3-month membership. Natalie Strand. Congrats, Natalie. I know you're here. Awesome. So for the, especially Natalie is already a member, so she will just have an extension of her membership by 3 months. But congrats, Natalie. That's terrific. She says, I'm sitting here open mouth in shock. That's awesome. Yay. Okay. All righty. And then finally, this last winner is for the shirt and a 6-month membership, and the individual does not need to be present to win, but hopefully she is, so that we can celebrate together. Barbara Wise. Barbara. Oh, I think Barbara's here. All righty. Yes, Barbara's here. I'm so glad that our final winner was here tonight as well. So fun. All righty, let's stop the screen share. I just want to thank all of you for being here tonight, for supporting me, supporting Simple Scrapper, for being part of our larger Simple Scrapper community. It's been such an honor to do this for 14 years, and I'm looking forward to another 14 or many more in the future. And I hope you like the new website, and I'm just looking forward to making things even better than they already have been. So thank you so much, and welcome home. Take care all.